I haven't felt safe in a classroom since that Friday. Every time a door slams, every time someone raises their voice in a hallway, I'm back there. 17 years old, pressed against a wall, listening to something that shouldn't exist, trying to break through. The school counselor said it was trauma. The police said I was lucky. But neither of them heard what I heard that day. March 15th, 2019, Riverside High School in Sacramento, California. I was a junior, sitting in a Mr. Patterson's AP Calculus class, 7th period, watching the clock tick toward 2:30 p.m. It was the Friday before spring break, and nobody was paying attention to derivatives or limits. We'd mentally checked out hours ago. Mr. Patterson knew it too. He was in his early 40s, one of those teachers who actually understood teenagers. Instead of forcing us through equations we'd forget by Monday, he pulled up Sporkle on the projector, a quiz website where you frantically type answers against a timer. Brand logos, stupid, meaningless, the kind of thing that feels important when you're 17 and everything else seems like it matters too much. The classroom was on the second floor of C building, 32 students crammed into a space meant for 25. The fluorescent lights hummed constantly. That electrical buzz you stop noticing until it suddenly stops. Outside, gray March clouds hung heavy, threatening rain that never came. Temperature had dropped to 54 degrees by noon, unusual for Sacramento. I sat 3 rows back, next to the windows. My friend Jordan sat in front of me, leaning back in his chair despite Mr. Patterson's warnings about the old furniture. We'd been friends since freshman year, bonded over horror movies and our hatred of chemistry lab. Jordan was the one who got me into reading scary stories online. We spent hours convincing ourselves we weren't scared, then jumping at every sound in our houses afterward. The quiz continued. Someone shouted Nike. Someone else yelled Pepsi. Mr. Patterson clicked the mouse, revealing answers on the projector screen. The classroom smelled like dry erase markers and industrial floor cleaner. The janitors had buffed the hallways during lunch. Everything was exactly as it should be. Then Jordan got a question right. Adidas, he said, not even looking at the screen. He had been doodling in his notebook, barely paying attention. Mr. Patterson was about to click the answer when the loudspeaker crackled to life. Dean Morrison's voice came through distorted and too loud, the way it always did when someone forgot to adjust the microphone level. But the content, that was different. That was wrong. All teachers, code red lockdown. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Initiate lockdown procedures immediately. The way he said it. Dean Morrison was former military, always composed, always measured in his speech, but his voice cracked on the word not. I heard something in that crack, something that made my skin prickle with goosebumps that spread from my arms to the back of my neck. The classroom fell silent. Someone laughed nervously. I think it was Ashley in the back row. She had a habit of laughing when she was uncomfortable, but the laugh died quickly when she saw Mr. Patterson's face. Our laid-back, joke-cracking, Sporkle-playing teacher moved faster than I'd ever seen him move. He lunged for the light switches, plunging the room into semi-darkness. The projector screen still glowed, casting weird blue light across everyone's faces, making us all look like ghosts. Back corner, now. No talking. His voice had changed too. Clipped, authoritative, military almost, like Dean Morrison. Mr. Patterson was 43, had taught at Riverside for 15 years, but this wasn't a drill. We moved. 32 teenagers trying to stay quiet while navigating desks and backpacks and each other in the dimness. The projector light still illuminated the Sporkle quiz, brand logos floating on the screen like artifacts from a world that no longer existed. I ended up pressed against the wall in the corner farthest from the door, Jordan on my left, a girl named Melissa I barely knew on my right. Melissa was shaking. I could feel it through the wall, could hear her breathing, short, rapid breaths like she'd just finished running sprints. The classroom door was solid wood with a small rectangular window reinforced with wire mesh.
Mr. Patterson had closed it, locked it, then stood beside it, peering through the small window into the hallway. His hand rested on the doorknob. I noticed his knuckles were white. We sat there, waiting. The projector fan hummed, the only sound in the room besides our collective breathing and the electrical buzz from the lights in the hallway outside. Then, exactly 2 minutes after the announcement, the humming stopped. Not the projector, the other sound. The electrical buzz from the panel in the back of the room that had been a constant presence for 3 years, so constant you forgot it existed, until it stopped. Everyone looked at each other in the blue-tinted darkness. I saw Jordan's eyes, wide and reflecting the projector light. I saw Melissa's face, pale and tear-streaked. I saw Ashley mouth the words, "Oh my God," without making a sound. The power was out. The school had killed the power. That meant the threat was real. That meant someone was inside the building. My mind raced through possibilities. Active shooter. That's what everyone thought first. It's what we'd been trained to think since elementary school. Lockdown drills. Run, hide, fight. But it could be other things. A gas leak, a police operation, The screaming came from somewhere down the hallway. East side, toward the science labs. It didn't sound like words at first, just raw sound, vocal cords pushed beyond their normal capacity. The kind of screaming that bypasses your rational brain and goes straight to the animal part that knows when predators are near. Melissa started crying. Soft at first, then louder despite her obvious attempts to stay quiet. Within seconds, another girl started crying too. Sarah, usually confident and outgoing, now curled into a ball against the wall. The crying triggered something in the rest of us. Fear is contagious. It spreads through groups like electricity, jumping from person to person. I felt my own throat tighten, my own eyes burn. Jordan grabbed my arm so hard it hurt, but I didn't pull away. We needed the contact. We needed to know we weren't alone. Mr. Patterson raised his finger to his lips. Shh! Everyone stay calm. Stay quiet. But the screaming was getting closer. The sound of fists, or maybe entire body weight slamming into metal lockers echoed through the hallway. Boom, boom, boom. Rhythmic and deliberate. Like someone was testing each locker door, or marking territory, or completely unhinged and operating on pure rage. "I'll kill all of you." The voice was male, rough, damaged somehow, like vocal cords scraped raw or damaged by smoke or prolonged screaming. The threat wasn't sophisticated, it was primal, direct. "I'll kill." Present tense, not "I want to" or "I'm going to." "I'll kill." Active, immediate, certain. Sarah's crying became audible sobs. She couldn't control it anymore. Mr. Patterson looked at us, his face a mask of controlled panic. He put his finger to his lips again, more urgently this time. The banging continued down the hallway, locker after locker, getting closer to our door. I counted the impacts in my head. 12, 13, 14. Our door was number 27 on the hallway. I'd passed it 5 days a week for 3 years. 12 more lockers until he reached us. 9, 8, 7. Jordan's grip on my arm became painful. I could feel his pulse through his fingers. Or maybe that was my own pulse. I couldn't tell anymore. 6, 5, 4. Melissa was praying. I heard fragments of it. "Our Father who art in heaven," mixed with "Please God, please God." Behind me, someone was hyperventilating. Mr. Patterson had moved away from the door, backing towards us, as if proximity to the door was proximity to something terrible. 3, 2, 1. The banging stopped at our door. For one impossible moment, there was complete silence, not even breathing. We'd all held our breath. The projector still hummed its mechanical lullaby. The Sporkle quiz still glowed on the screen. Time felt suspended, stretched like taffy. Then the pounding started on our door.
Mr. Patterson stood between us and the door, arms spread wide,
as if he could somehow shield 32 students with his own body. His face had gone pale, but his jaw was set. Later, I'd learn he had a 9-year-old daughter at home. Later, I'd wonder what he was thinking in that moment. The pounding continued. 30 seconds, a minute, 90 seconds. It felt like hours. Time distorts during trauma, stretches and compresses simultaneously. My ears rang from the volume, my chest hurt from holding my breath for too long. My legs had gone numb from sitting pressed against the wall. Then, as suddenly as it started, the pounding stopped. Footsteps moved away from our door. The screaming continued down the hallway. Fainter now, moving toward D building. The sound of more lockers being struck echoed back to us, each impact slightly more distant than the last. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. We stayed frozen in that corner, 32 statues, waiting for the next horror. Minutes passed. I have no idea how many. My phone was in my backpack across the room, might as well have been on Mars. The clock above the door read 2:47 p.m., but it felt like we'd been in that corner for days. Finally, Mr. Patterson moved. Carefully, quietly, he crept back to the door and peered through the wire mesh window. He stayed there for a long time, scanning left and right, checking angles. "I think he's gone," he whispered. "Stay where you are. Stay quiet." We stayed. 10 minutes passed, though it felt like 30. The projector fan continued its mechanical breathing. The Sporkle quiz had timed out, replaced by a screensaver. Floating brand logos, ironic in their normalcy. Then the loudspeaker crackled again. Dean Morrison's voice came through, steadier now, but still carrying an edge of something wrong. "Teachers and students, the immediate threat has been contained. However, I need to explain the situation." He paused. Dean Morrison never paused during announcements. He was a straight-to-the-point communicator, former Army, precise in his language. But now he paused, like he was choosing his words carefully. Or like he didn't quite believe what he was about to say. At approximately 2:34 p.m., an unauthorized entrance was made. This individual physically assaulted Mrs. Chen at the front desk, causing her to evacuate the building. At this time, we are uncertain whether this individual is armed. We have conducted a preliminary sweep of all hallways and accessible classrooms. We have not located this individual. The fear that had started to recede came flooding back, worse than before. He was still in the building, somewhere, hiding, waiting. All teachers are instructed to keep classroom doors locked. Do not, under any circumstances, allow students to leave for any reason. Do not open your doors for anyone except uniformed police officers with proper identification. Classes will resume, but remain vigilant. The loudspeaker clicked off. Resume classes? The Sporkle quiz mocked us from the projector screen. Brand logos, as if anything mattered except survival. Mr. Patterson turned on the lights. The sudden brightness felt wrong, like someone had turned on lights at a crime scene before the bodies were removed. We looked at each other, really looked, and saw the trauma reflected in 32 pairs of eyes. Sarah was on her phone, texting frantically. Her hands shook so badly she had to retype several times. Melissa had mascara streaked down her face. Jordan stared at the door like it might explode at any moment. "Everyone back to your seats," Mr. Patterson said quietly. "Grab your things. Stay calm." We moved like zombies, mechanical and numb. I retrieved my backpack from my desk, noticed my hands were shaking. The phone in my pocket buzzed,
Texts from my mom, increasingly frantic. "Are you okay? Please answer. The news is saying something happened at your school. Call me." I texted back, "I'm okay. Lockdown. Still here. Love you." Mr. Patterson didn't attempt to resume teaching. He just sat at his desk, staring at his computer screen without really seeing it. We sat at ours. Nobody spoke. The silence felt thick, oppressive. Every sound from the hallway, footsteps, doors closing, distant voices, made us all jump. 3:15 p.m. came and went, dismissal time, but the loudspeaker remained silent. We stayed locked in that room, suspended between normal life and nightmare. Finally, at 4:12 p.m., my mom texted again. "Parents are being told to pick up students at the back parking lot. I'm on my way. Stay safe, baby." Finally, at 4:23 p.m., our class was called. We filed out silently, staying close together instinctively. The hallways felt different. The same beige walls, same blue lockers, same industrial carpet, but transformed. Every shadow held potential threat. Every closed classroom door could hide danger. I made it to my mom's car. She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe, and I didn't care. I looked back at the school building, the place where I'd spent 3 years of my life, where I'd taken tests and eaten lunch and complained about homework, and it looked like a stranger. That night, the local news reported the incident. Disturbance at Riverside High School. Disturbance. Such a clinical word for terror. They mentioned a man entering the building, an assault on a staff member, a lockdown. They didn't mention the screaming. They didn't mention the pounding on doors. They didn't mention 32 teenagers pressed into a corner, certain they were going to die. The weekend passed in a blur. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the screaming, felt the vibrations from the pounding door, saw Mr. Patterson's white knuckles gripping the doorknob. Monday morning, I went back to school. We all did. What else could we do? But the hallways were different now. D building had been closed off, yellow tape across the entrance. Rumors spread fast in high schools, faster than facts, more persistent than truth. I heard they found him in a closet. Someone said he had a weapon. My friend's sister works in the office. She said it was serious. He was after a specific teacher. He was completely random. Mental illness. Revenge. The rumors shifted and morphed, each retelling adding new details, removing others. But one rumor persisted, mentioned by multiple people who claimed to know someone who saw something. The janitor found him. Friday night, during the night shift. A storage closet near the back end of D building, beyond the locked door that only staff could access. Found him sleeping, curled up among cleaning supplies and forgotten textbooks and 20 years of accumulated school debris. And, according to the rumors, sticking out of his jacket pocket was something. Descriptions varied, but the detail that appeared in every version. Something dangerous. The janitor apparently made a mistake. In some versions, he left the closet door open while he went to call security. In others, he tried to wake the man, thinking he was a homeless person seeking shelter. In another version, he just turned on the light, and the sudden brightness jolted the man awake. Regardless of how it happened, the result was the same. By the time campus security and police arrived, 3 minutes later, according to reports, the storage closet was empty. Just cleaning supplies and textbooks
and dust. And a smell, some people said. Unwashed and something chemical and wrong. The man was gone.